Hello and welcome to the JB&M Sports Fanatic channel. Thank you once again for joining me here for another video. This time we are talking about the Super Bowl in which we have the Buccaneers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Now both teams, they took different routes to reach this point. Quite frankly, for Tom Brady, we'll start with him. He's a veteran. He's done this a lot of times. This is his 10th Super Bowl. He's looking to capture number 7 in terms of victories. So this is nothing new for him, but it is a different side of the bracket, a different path. Not only is it the NFC as opposed to the AFC, he also had to do it as a wild card. So on the road, it took the Buccaneers a while to reach this point. I mean, they lost numerous times to the Saints in the regular season, and then they were able to overcome that in the playoffs. So things started to click at the perfect time. It's like they say, it's who's playing the best ball when December rolls around. And so that worked out for Tampa Bay. Now, Kansas City, they've been that team, since they've won that Super Bowl, really since they lost the 2018-2019 championship, AFC championship game to the Patriots. Ever since then, they have been that team and they've lived up to the hype. Patrick Mahomes, ever since he had that breakout year, he continues to play at such a high level. They are the defending champs for a reason. I've been saying the entire time that the Chiefs are going to get to the Super Bowl. I have been saying that. And I may have been wrong about the Packers getting there, but that's a completely different conversation. Sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. They came awfully close, though. But this is a great matchup in terms of seeing the present, as in Patrick Mahomes, and the everlasting legacy of Tom Brady that continues to grow. I mean, I know everybody likes to do the comparison, like, oh, Tom Brady's now he's the he's the Patriot way, apparently. But hey, I remember a while back, basketball reference, when Shaquille O'Neal first left the Lakers and he won that first championship. It looked like for a while he was the better between him and Kobe, but we saw how that worked out. So just give Bill some time, but back to the Super Bowl here. There's a lot of things that, I'm very curious about. One, I really want to know how Jameis Winston is feeling about seeing his Buccaneers with the talent that he pretty much left behind, and to see what Tom Brady is able to do. I mean, now we see why Bruce Arians was so hard on him. Now we understand why. Tom Brady, this was the perfect situation, so this was a match made in heaven. But, aside from these two all-star, well, tremendous talents, generational talents, there's a lot of things to look at in this game that, really stand out. When you're looking at let's say the running game, the Kansas City Chiefs, they have some, Le'Veon Bell, that's a big name, but he's not running like he did before he held out. And so, I mean, he would be something that, you may be able to get creative with, Andy Reid, and, perhaps utilize him in a passing game. But in terms of on the ground, him and Clyde, they've not been running the ball that well, and quite frankly, that's going to hold them back if they're not able to run the ball. You're going to put too much on Patrick Mahomes' shoulder. And this is the Super Bowl. The Buccaneers, they've only allowed like one 100-yard rusher all year long. Pretty solid defense. But I will say, Tyreek Hill, he lit up the secondary for the Buccaneers. And quite frankly, they don't have anybody who can guard him one-on-one. I don't know if they have anybody that they can really double team him with and expect for him to not have a big game. I mean, it's the Super Bowl. He's going to be fired up. They're going to use him every way possible. And you cannot forget about Travis Kelce. I mean, he's clearly the best tight end in the game right now. I mean, I'm very fond of George Kittle, but just, injuries, I feel, makes the difference, as well as who's throwing the ball as well. So I believe Kittle's right up there, 1A and 1B. But Kelce, clearly he's the man, and he's been coming through this year. So that's going to be huge. We know what they can do in the passing game. It's just, can they, if they get the early lead, will they be able to run it out per se? By using the ground game, but hey, the Chiefs are something special. That being said, they are going to be short like 2 starters on the offensive line, and then there's this thing called COVID that seems to be eyeing the Chiefs. So we'll see how that situation plays out. Now for the Buccaneers, I mean, hey, they've got a great defensive line. Yeah, they lost to the Chiefs the first time, but even in that game, it's like they started to play better in the second half as a team, and we're trying to make a comeback. And you never want to give a team momentum to where they feel that they can, figure you out. So the next time they play you, it just doesn't work out. As a Patriots fan, as much as I hate to bring this up, but you guys are gonna make me do it. When we played the Giants and we went undefeated, Tom Brady, Randy Moss had their moment. 50, I believe it's the 56 touchdown pass that year, and Yeah, the Giants did not win that game, but they played one hell of a game, and it gave them the confidence that if they were to step on the field with us again, that they'd be able to beat us. And so that being said, you know, this is Tom Brady we're talking about, and he does a pretty good job when a lot of people tend to count him out or either just shortchange him. I mean, he doesn't do that great when he's the favorite leading into the Super Bowl, but aside from that, when he's like the underdog or it's pretty even, it tends to lead in Tom Brady's favor. That being said, Patrick Mahomes is trying to, expand his own legacy. He is trying to become the next, he's trying to make the Chiefs the next dynasty, you know. But there's only one person that's standing in this way, Tom Brady. And as a Patriots fan, I'd like to see Tom Brady be able to stop Patrick Mahomes from having the Chiefs in that conversation because we all know that if the Chiefs were to go ahead and to win this game, we're going to start hearing those comparisons between the 2003, 2004 Patriots and this team. But there is a difference, because Tom did stop him in that 2019 AFC Championship game, preventing them from looking at potentially a three-peat. So that is pretty big right there. But hey, different team, same story. At the end of the day, it keeps coming back to these two guys. From a head coaching standpoint, I've got to side with Andy Reid. Andy Reid. Ever since obviously when he was with the Philadelphia Eagles, he kept getting them to the NFC Championship game. But Donovan McNabb, he was great, but this kid right here, Patrick Mahomes, he is special. He's trying to get that second Super Bowl before the age of 26. So that in itself is fantastic. And you hear everybody talking about, oh, is Tom Brady out of reach for Patrick Mahomes if he loses this Super Bowl? I don't believe so. I don't believe so. It probably won't be the same way that it was for Tom. I mean, but if you really think about it, I mean, Tom early in his career, he was working with guys like Troy Brown, David Patton, great players, but um, they weren't the Randy Mosses that he got until later in his career. So Tom had a different style of play, I feel. So Tom started off as more of that game manager, where Patrick Mahomes, he's came out swinging. And I mean, ever since, obviously sitting behind Alex Smith, watching Alex Smith, and pretty much hearing the coaching staff say, okay, you see how he dumped that off? Yeah, don't do that. Let's actually expand this. I mean, let's use Travis Kelce and make Travis Kelce, and Tyreek Hill. Let's use that speed. So, I mean, no offense to Alex Smith. He was a great comeback story and all for the Washington football team this year. But that being said, um, this right here, the Buccaneers defense in comparison, I mean, just looking at the defensive line, I mean, the Chiefs, they do have some, a couple guys on that defensive line that are very highly paid, and for good reason. Whereas, the Buccaneers, their linebacker, they have the lead leading tackler. And so they have pieces on defense here and there, Tyrann Mathieu, and so it's going to be interesting to see how they're able to face up against each other. Brady should be able to have a good game, but I expect Patrick Mahomes to have an excellent game. But if there's one thing I've learned watching Brady in the Super Bowl, he doesn't necessarily have to outplay you to beat you. He has no problem if this becomes more of a running game. I think we learned that when the Patriots beat the Rams, that they have no problem doing whatever it takes to win. But if you're the Chiefs, it has to be Patrick Mahomes. And he can't come out there like he did against the 49ers. It's not going to be enough this time around because he's going against another elite quarterback. This is not Jimmy G. And no offense to Jimmy. Jimmy is good when Jimmy decides to actually go out there and play, not be injured, but I mean, I like Jimmy. I'm hoping he comes back to the Patriots. It's just you might want to package him with a backup quarterback that's capable as well. But that's a completely entirely different story. But yeah, back to this headline here. Definitely like Tampa Bay defensively because of the impact with the Chiefs offensive line, the lack of the running game. But I just feel that the Chiefs have special players that stand out. For Tampa Bay, I'm curious, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin. If there's one thing they've consistently been, it's been injured. Like, are they really going to be 100% for this game? I am curious about that. They've been alternating who's going to basically be hurt, I guess, this game. Antonio Brown, how is his injury coming back? Scotty Miller, he made one heck of a play against the Green Bay Packers defense in that last game, but how much of an impact is Antonio Brown going to have? Who's going to be the former Steeler to get that ring? Is it going to be Le'Veon Bell or is it going to be Antonio Brown? Another storyline there. This very well can come down to the wire. I mean, Patrick Mahomes has not lost, a game by more than one possession. He's always in the game to the very end. And I mean, he's just a winner. They're both winners. I think Patrick Mahomes said it best. They both will do whatever it takes to win. And so, that being said, I feel like, I've been alternating, even while having this conversation, towards who I'm leaning with. I've been so solid on Kansas City repeating this year. But then I saw how this team, how the Buccaneers looked against the Packers. I saw the journey that they're on, and it's just something about this Tampa Bay team. They're inspired. Tom has these boys believing that they can go out there, and even if Kansas City jumped up 20 points, they still believe that they're still in this game. We've seen Tom do it, so they're going to believe that they're in it until they're not. And so I'm going to project with my Super Bowl selection that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to come out and they're going to win this game, with the final score being along the lines of, I'm going to go with Tampa Bay 38, Kansas City 34. This is going to be a top 3 Super Bowl, I'm projecting. I mean, unless COVID decides to step up and, totally take that away. That's I'll give myself that out. But I'm expecting for this to be a historically great moment. And I'll go ahead and say now, if Patrick Mahomes loses, that does not mean that the conversation is going to go away in terms of comparing him and what he can be down the road. It's very early now, but this does not eliminate him. I'll answer that now. It does not eliminate him from potentially being able to someday pass Brady, because Brady has lost 3 Super Bowls. So we'll keep that in mind. But until then, enjoy the Super Bowl. This is it. This is what we waited for all year long. This is why these players lift weights. This is what it's all about. They've been dreaming of this moment, this day. They've been counting down, I'm sure, until the Super Bowl gets here. And Tampa Bay to be the first team to host a home Super Bowl game, it's a shame that they're not going to be able to fire their cannons like they would like to. But hey, you got to have some kind of regulation to make it feel like an even Super Bowl. I understand that. But yes, it's going to be a great Super Bowl. I'm looking forward to watching it, and looking forward to getting back with you guys and telling you my thoughts after the game happens. Much for watching another video. I'm Joshua, and do remember to press that subscribe button if you haven't already, and like this video. And I look forward to talking with you guys next time. Until then.